Hey man, I know you're tired. I know there's this silent war going on inside you right now. Part of you wants to keep fighting for her, and another part of you is ready to let it all go. The late nights, the long messages, the thinking, the hoping, the replaying of every conversation in your mind. You're not weak for feeling this way. You're just a man who gave a damn. A man who showed up with sincerity in a world full of performance. But before you make that final decision to walk away, I need you to slow down and really listen, because what you're about to do next will either define your strength or bury it under regret. Before you give up on her, you need clarity, not just emotion, not just exhaustion. You need truth. Giving up isn't always wrong, but it's only right if it comes from wisdom, not frustration. Most men give up when they're hurt, when they feel unappreciated, when their effort goes unnoticed. And I get it, man. That pain is real. When you love deeply, when you give your time, your patience, your loyalty, and she still seems distant or unsure, it chips away at you. But here's what you need to understand. Not every moment of silence means she doesn't care. Not every cold phase means she's done. Sometimes it means she's confused, and sometimes you are too. You have to separate her actions from your assumptions. Has she truly pulled away? Has she shown you she's no longer invested? Or are you projecting your own doubts onto her behavior? Because a woman won't always know how to articulate what she feels, and you might be interpreting her emotional walls as rejection when they're really tests of your stability. She wants to know if you'll still lead when she's unsure, if you'll stay grounded when she's emotional, if you'll still see her value when she's not performing for you. Now, that doesn't mean you become her emotional punching bag. That doesn't mean you wait forever while she figures herself out. But it does mean you pause and ask yourself, have I communicated like a man? Have I led this relationship with clarity? Have I shown her how to love me without demanding it? Because if you're ready to walk away, make sure you're not running from your own reflection. Don't leave just because you're scared to be vulnerable. Don't leave because your pride can't handle being misunderstood. Leave when you know you've outgrown the version of her that's refusing to grow with you. Sometimes the problem isn't her disinterest, it's your emotional overextension. You gave too much too fast. You tried to prove your worth through effort instead of presence. You responded to her distance by getting closer, thinking closeness would fix the gap. But real masculine energy doesn't chase when someone pulls back, it holds its frame. Maybe this isn't the time to give up. Maybe this is the time to pull your energy back and let her meet you halfway. Not out of punishment, but because you've been carrying too much of the emotional load on your own. You need to sit with this question. Am I walking away to teach her a lesson or to protect my peace? Because if you're trying to make her realize your worth, you're still attached to her validation. And that's not real power. Real power is walking away, not because you want her to come running back, but because you finally understand that your value doesn't need to be proven to someone who keeps overlooking it. That's not giving up. That's letting go of trying to fix what refuses to be built on mutual effort. Before you give up, ask yourself, has she ever truly seen me? Has she ever experienced the real depth of who I am as a man? Not just the parts I perform, but the stillness, the standards, the clarity I bring. Because if all she saw was the version of you that overcompensated, that chased, that explained, then maybe she never met the man you're capable of becoming. And maybe the next move isn't walking away. It's leveling up so drastically that she has to reintroduce herself to the new you, or lose access completely. Sometimes what feels like rejection is just redirection to your growth, your boundaries, your power. And sometimes she's not the one failing you, you're the one staying silent about what you truly need. So before you label her as cold, selfish, or confused, look in the mirror. Have you owned your standards? Have you made it clear what kind of connection you're building? Or have you been hoping she'd figure it out on her own? Because clarity isn't cruelty, it's leadership. And if you want to be loved fully, you have to lead fully. And if you've done all of that, if you've been clear, grounded, steady, and she still refuses to meet you there, then yes, brother, walk. Not because you gave up, but because you gave enough. You showed up, you led with strength, you stayed calm through the chaos. And if she still didn't see you, then she was never meant to hold your heart. Because the woman who's ready for your kind of energy won't need to be chased. She'll match your movement, she'll honor your peace, and she'll know that the calmest man in the room is the one she can't afford to lose. If you decide to stay, do it with boundaries, not begging. Don't stay just to get back to the good times. Stay because you see potential, and you've made it clear what won't be tolerated anymore. You're not staying in limbo, you're staying with leadership. That means you're done enabling mixed signals, done overcompensating for her emotional confusion. You're no longer waiting to be chosen, you're now choosing yourself first, and from that place, you guide the relationship with quiet power. You speak with intention, you give space without becoming distant, and if she's truly aligned with you, she'll rise to meet that energy. But if you decide to walk away, then let it be clean. Don't drag it out. Don't leave one emotional door open. Don't keep checking in to see if she's changed. If you walk fully, not to punish her, not to get a reaction, but because you finally realize your peace is not up for negotiation. And no woman, no matter how beautiful or intoxicating, is worth abandoning your standards for. That kind of walk, it doesn't scream, "Look at me." It simply says, "I know who I am, and I refuse to stay where I'm not valued." A woman knows when she's dealing with a man who's emotionally indecisive. She can feel when you're bluffing, but when she senses that this time you're actually done, when your silence carries self-respect instead of emotional games, that's when it hits her different. Because now she doesn't just fear losing you, she fears never meeting a man like you again. And whether she admits it or not, that fear lingers far longer than your presence ever did. And here's the beautiful part. Once you reclaim your energy, you stop needing closure. You stop needing her to apologize. You stop replaying every conversation in your head, because now you're not holding space for what could have been. You're making space for what's next. And what's next is a version of you that no longer bends for breadcrumbs, that no longer asks for clarity from people who benefit from your confusion, that no longer begs for connection, it attracts it effortlessly. Before you give up on her, give yourself a chance to level up, not for her, not to win her back, but to honor the version of you that waited too long to be loved properly, that sat silently, hoping she'd notice, that dimmed his light just to keep the peace. That version of you deserves to evolve. And when you evolve, you'll realize that walking away was never the loss you feared. It was the awakening you needed. Most men think leaving is the hard parts. It's not. The hard part is staying gone when your heart still remembers the soft moments. But emotional maturity means doing what's right for your long-term self, not just your current feelings. And if you ever feel tempted to go back to a version of her that once hurt you, just ask yourself, does the man I'm becoming deserve to shrink back into who I was when I tolerated that? If the answer is no, then you keep moving forward, even if it hurts. And if, by some twist of fate, she grows too, if she comes back with real accountability, with humility, with change, with effort, then you don't reject her out of pride, but you don't rush her back into your life either. You observe, you move slowly, you protect your peace like it's sacred, because now you're not looking for love, you're filtering for alignment, and only the women who match your new energy deserve a second chance at your presence. Brother, your journey doesn't end with her. It might begin with her, it might break with her, but your story continues. And every woman who didn't see you clearly, who took your consistency for granted, who confused your calm with weakness, one day, they'll feel the silence you left behind, not as punishment, but as a permanent reminder of what they weren't ready to hold. And by then, you'll be too far gone to explain. So before you give up on her, take a breath, ask the hard questions, reflect with depth, move with maturity. And when you decide like a man who doesn't waver, because in this world full of noise and games and ego, clarity is your power. And when you walk in that, you'll never lose yourself chasing someone who couldn't see what was standing right in front of her the whole time.